Hello, everyone. It's Shane Conto, your Wasteland reviewer, and welcome to the Wasteland, my weekly show where I take a deep dive into a particular film, and we're in the tail end of World War II films for John Ford on the 2020 Ford saga of just nonstop John Ford films this year. And joining me for this episode, as we discuss It's Your America, is my friend Mike Hilty. Mike, thank you so much for coming on.
I feel it was my patriotic duty to come and talk about this particular short. I felt inspired, so I'm looking forward to talking about it.
There you go. And it sure is a patriotic film.
Yep,
And
yep.
for those who have not tuned in before, we have three segments. We do have coming attractions for June 14th. Will this be the savior box office weekend of the year so far? We'll have to see. All I know is the theater that I went to go see Inside Out to at tonight was jam packed at 5:30 on a Thursday.
Wow.
There you
Okay,
go.
that's good.
Um, and then we'll talk about the feature film, which is actually a short. It's Your America, and then we'll get into some recommendations. But yeah, this weekend's all about Inside Out. There's some smaller stuff coming out, but I think a lot of uh film production studios were like, "Yep, Disney's winning this one," so kind of winning it. But Mike, what gets you excited about Inside Out too?
Inside Out is my favorite Pixar movie because think out of some of the recent Pixar movies, it blends the humor and the fun with the emotional gut punches that Pixar is known for, as I call them, the Pixar punch. And
Hmm.
it is that one got me really good. And not only that, it got me twice. You get me with Bing Bong, and then you get me with that part at the end with Riley and her parents. Um, that
Hmm.
part really just had a strong effect on me. And now that I'm a parent of two daughters, nonetheless, I have a feeling that this is going to hit pretty hard as well. So I'm looking forward to this because I love the original. And also I'm not looking for it to be better than the first one. I just want to be
Hmm.
entertained. And not only that, I just want to be entertained by a Pixar movie in theaters. So I'm just looking forward to that.
I certainly got that experience tonight, seeing a whole theater full of you know adults my age, teenage girls, probably middle school girls, families with their little kids, and everybody going. It was so funny because my friend Rod, who I was just recording with last night, we were talking about how we were both seeing a 5:30 showing today. That made that picture from Billy Madison. Uh, from him with all the kids, like me going to sit in a theater full of kids to go watch Inside Out 2 this weekend. I'm like, yep, that's about it. Yeah, what got me excited about this is Inside Out was amazing, so amazing, and I guess this is the like real big launch into the new Pixar approach, which is these are just going to be all white people and sequels moving forward, or inanimate objects, I guess, as well. Thinking about Toy Story and stuff like that. But so this is a sequel, but I love the addition of the new emotions. Like Maya Hawke as anxiety just seems like that would be so fun. Um, and I was particularly looking forward to Embarrassment, Paul Walter
Oh,
Hauser,
Walter Hauser, yeah.
and Ennui,
Ennui, yeah. What a
Ennui.
gr- what a great emotion to add to your adolescent years, right? I never
The
understood what
boredom.
ennui was until I was in college. So that's good for me, right? So
It's such a creative idea with so many creative possibilities and strange adult movie references, like don't worry, Jake, it's Cloud Town,
whoa,
which was a
nice.
they made a
Chinatown
Chinatown
reference.
reference in the first Inside Out. So I was excited to see what other random movie references they'd make in there. So I was very excited. I'm not going to talk about the movie because we're not here to review it. But like, I'm not going to share my thoughts, but I was certainly excited going into this weekend. Go check this
Ni-
out.
Nice.
And hopefully it makes a shit ton of money. This is
I,
box office.
I think the box office desperately needs it, but it seems like the last couple of weeks, the box office, like I'm not gonna I'm not gonna say that it's been a full rebound or anything like that, but Bad Boys did pretty well, or Bad Boys Ride or Die, not Bad Boys for
Yeah,
Life,
because
which what
Memorial
this
Day
one should
weekend
was
was
abysmal.
a colossal disaster. And then the following weekend, Bad Boys Ride or Die made its budget back in one weekend worldwide. So it's like, okay, it had like $106 million opening or $108 million opening worldwide. They're cracking this for 80 to 90 domestic for
Mhm.
Inside Out. I have a thinking feeling it might be because, like, I think people are going to be flooding out to the theaters to see this because what are the only movies making money right now consistently? Family movies.
Yeah.
So whether it's the Garfield movie or If, which have incredible legs right now, we'll see how that goes with Inside Out 2 coming out. And this will rule the roost until those goddamn minions for 4th of July week.
It-
And then after that, to be honest, what's going to stop the Despicable Me movie?
I mean, probably Deadpool and Wolverine, but
Well,
it's not
well, that's
gonna
the thing. It's a
stop it.
hard R movie.
Yeah.
So, like,
It's
you can't take your family good.
well, I mean, you'd be a crap parent, but you could. But that like that's the only thing that would come remotely close, because otherwise the minions will have a or I'm sorry, I should refer to it by its proper name, Despicable Me 4. It's not a Minion standalone movie,
um,
but
it
it's got
might
a
as
clear
well be
runway,
the way that
pretty
they're
much.
marketing it.
It's got a clear runway pretty much
Yep.
until at least all of July. So it's going to make a ton of money.
I wouldn't be shocked if people didn't even realize Will Ferrell's in this movie
Probably not.
because he's the villain of this movie. But all they're going to remember are minions, minions, minions.
That's all my kids care about with the Minions or with any Despicable Me movie. Like, nope, nobody cares about Gru. Nobody cares about the kids. Nobody cares about his wife or anything like that. It's just the Minions.
Minions. And now they're super minions with superpowers. Like,
Great,
why didn't you just
cool.
make another Minions movie? Like, if you're just going to do this,
I don't
oh
know.
well.
It's
But we're here to talk about If You Were America. And this is a film from 1946, rumored to be directed by John Ford. Not 100% confirmed, but close enough. It was on IMDb,
it's
and I picked it for the show. And it helps show soldiers what to do when they get home. So basically, this whole entire film is just there to be like, hey, I'm a soldier processing through my patriotism. And that's the movie. But Mike, what were your general thoughts?
I mean, technically it's well shot. It is, for a 34, 35-minute movie, it's very well done. Content wise, though, it kind of made me want to vomit a little bit because I'm sorry if your response to the question, what are you going to do when you first get home after you fight in a war? If the answer to that question for you is vote, no, absolutely not. No. Like, first of all, that doesn't make any sense because who knows if there's an election around the time that you're coming back. But more importantly, there's a ton of other things that you could possibly do as a citizen instead of vote. So when you hear things like that, it just feels very propaganda, which this is obviously something that is very, very much high on the propaganda scale because even at the end, they still had like an advertisement for, hey, don't forget to buy war bonds, or I'm sorry, loyalty bonds. Can't forget about those.
Yep.
But and it's even just filled with all these questions about like, hey, why do we fight for things like democracy? Why is Abe Lincoln such a notable figure halfway around the world, particularly in England when, in the middle of World War II? It's like, yeah, I'm glad we have Churchill, but that guy Lincoln had some good things to say. Just kind of looked at it and was like, why? Wait, what is going on here? So
Very
it's
interesting
fine.
film.
Yeah.
It You have camera pointing at this soldier, and he's gonna talk right to camera, and he's gonna tell you a story about his experience as being a soldier. And basically, yeah, this is like they made a 35-minute documentary short film about American patriotism. And it goes from like where we start. Like at the beginning, he's like, why should I be so patriotic? What's so special about America? And then basically, like, this is like the American Carol, an American Carol that that the creators of Airplane made, where it was
Yeah.
like Michael Malone, aka totally not Michael Moore, uh, trying to find a reason to love America again because and he poses these questions throughout, and like you gotta know him, like know what America's really about. America's a part of you, and that whole discussion at the pub that gets bombed
Oh yeah.
at
Yeah.
that point, and like that was an interesting shot though when like the bomb went off and was like pushing and he's like, oh. The most action this movie has.
Yep.
Um, you have
Oh, oh wait, you can't forget that there was a lot of marching at the very beginning. Can't forget about that.
certainly
That's
that they had interesting archival footage of like the post London of the Blitz, and like that was pretty harrowing to see like all of that. With like that would
yeah.
have been this film would have been more interesting if it was just like an actual war documentary. But you had that whole comparison with like why is Mussolini so bad and Abraham Lincoln such a great leader? Um, the whole e pluribus unum thing, and the soldier kept saying unum
Yeah.
in such a strange way.
I know. Yeah.
And like that whole piece of it, like him having this conversation with his doctor, um, we all work together so we can all get the. And it was like that kind of thing. It's like what's interesting is there's so many moments of like discussing what American patriotism is about in this film that quote unquote real American patriots today would hate.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And let me preface real American patriots with some very hard air quotes there. Because like
Yeah.
that whole thing where he's talking about like we all work together so that we can get the best together. I'm like, what are you, communist?
Yeah. What kind of socialist idea is this? Are we in Europe? Well, what is going on?
What
You
is
know?
this?
What a time to be alive, right? So this I'm just so glad that this guy had the right conversations with the right people. You know, thankfully, like you're not going to talk to the grizzled war veteran that's like, I don't know why I'm here right now. I did
Mhm.
I did a giant tour through World War One. I saw the horrors. This is infinitely worse. Man sucks. And America didn't need to be in this war until Pearl Harbor. And then it's like, yeah, America needs to be in this war. We're very fortunate that the script called for all these people to have the right conversations with this soldier about why it's important to to defend America, to defend the values of things like democracy and freedom, because America is the only country in the world that has freedom. So, good for them. And
Only true
I
American freedom.
I the I love the part at the very beginning when he's got this penny. He is obsessed with this 1918 penny. It's the year that he's born. Abraham Lincoln's on it. It says, God bless America. Even, he just occasionally flips it and he's like showing it off to people. It's like nowadays, it's like, ew, a penny? Like, why do you have a penny?
You have change.
Ew.
You have physical money.
Yeah.
It's it's interesting, and like that whole sequence where you're talking about like connecting with your allies and realizing, our allies are sacrificing so much for us, and I'm like, wait a minute, that seems oddly egotistical about, and obviously very America centric, which I'm not surprised that this film was very America centric. But I'm just like, the British aren't killing themselves for us.
No,
They're
no,
dying for them
they're dying for
and
them. They're dying for their land. They're dying for Europe,
propaganda.
you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one army out of one country.
Oh yeah.
The lot of big quotes here. Uh, we can do it together. Damn communists. Uh, Got to keep building the American idea according to Lincoln. They kept going back to Lincoln a lot in this particular film. And like by the end, it reveals like what this guy sacrificed, and you're just like, after all of this,
Yikes.
and it's just like,
You
damn,
still you still feel like all of this, despite the fact that you're coming home in crutches. Like, okay, good for you. And not only that, talking about what your duty as a citizen is after you get back. Get a good job and participate in things within the country. Just be a good role model and everything like that. Like, okay, yeah, that's fine. This feels a little Starship Troopersy. So
I'm doing
okay,
my part.
I'm doing my part. I didn't do shit. Yeah, yeah. I love that so
One of the
much.
best memes around right now.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
I just feel like this film was exactly what it's supposed to be. It was supposed to drum up American patriotism. It's the propaganda documentary, you know, put together, and it's also the most convenient um plot since Forrest Gump. Where
Oh
it's just
yeah,
like
for sure.
it's just like he's at the right place, the right person at any given particular moment, to get the right answers. But it was a it was an interesting exercise in what propaganda filmmaking looks like. And this is the last
Absolutely.
one that I have for a while until we get to the Korean War, because then there's
Mm.
one Korean War documentary that I'll be getting to. But I am finally getting into the post World War II like prime time era of like Don Ford films, so I'm looking forward to that. But like any other thoughts on It's Your America?
I'd be very curious to see what people thought of this today because I feel like the ideals that we had back in the 40s during this, that is not the America that we have now. So it's just so funny the stark contrast between this turbulent time that was Great Depression, World War II, all of that stuff, not just in the United States, just but around the world. And this current turbulent time, post COVID, far right gaining ground in a lot of
Hmm.
areas. And it's just so weird because all of these things about togetherness, being a good person, um, those ideals are dead now. Like, what?
Because like this is what patriotism should be about, but
Right.
like it's not what it is today. And if you're not like the true American patriot, like they like to label themselves, then you hate America.
Mhm. Mhm.
Despite the fact that like I connected with a lot of things he was talking about here. It's like, yeah, we all should be working together for each other so that we all can have the best experience. But that's not
Yeah,
what
but
America is today.
no, now it's I'm only going to work for a very specific group of people and the rest of you can go F yourself.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I think people need to watch this film and really think, like, contemplate, like,
think
their thoughts
just
on what patriotism's about.
pretty much.
So, but they won't. But it is free on YouTube, so
It
you
is
could
free
go
on
watch it
YouTube,
right
so
now.
yeah.
So,
Well, it's funny because if you type in "It's Your America" into YouTube, oh, you have to scroll through in order to find some stuff. You need to be more specific, and you have to say,
that's why I put
"It's Your
John Ford.
America, John Ford. It's Your America, 1946." You know, anything like that. But if you're an idiot like me who just typed in "It's Your America" and all of the songs that I had to get through in order to get to the this short, yeah, that was a mistake. I laughed a lot at these people's expense, but it was a mistake nonetheless.
I'm proud to be an American. And like, that's a jam for sure. Now, time for some recommendations. But Mike, what would you like to recommend to
I am recommending a show on Peacock right now. Um, we Are Lady Parts. It is
everyone?
about a Muslim all girl punk band and the trials and tribulations they go through in order to hone in their craft. It's it's such a great show about finding your tribe, about
Mm-hmm.
being true to who you are, and just going against the grain. And each of these characters goes through a lot throughout the course of the two seasons. Second season just came out a couple weeks
Yep.
ago. But the music's great. The camaraderie among the band is fantastic. It says a lot about a lot of different things. It says a lot about Muslim culture. It says a lot about the music industry. It says a lot about being a woman. It says a lot about being a millennial, or not a millennial, like a Gen Z
Mm-hmm.
right now, about different age groups and the way that they react to stuff. Um, there's a little bit of everything for everyone in this, and it's also exceedingly funny as well. So if you are in the market for a show that surprisingly is half an hour long for each
Mm-hmm.
episode, 6 episodes, so for each season, so 12 episodes total, not a big investment. An entire, let's just put it this way, an entire season of this is roughly about the size of one episode of House of the Dragon. So we're all good, you know, we're all good.
For sure.
Yeah.
Which I'm also a big fan of this show. Need to watch the second season. Between this and Girls Five Eva, Peacock had some fun shows.
Yes,
Peacock
they
has
did.
some stuff, people.
Hmm.
And then now Netflix has Girls Five Eva because of um. Speaking of Netflix, my first recommendation is Hitman. Richard Linklater's new film with Glenn Powell. Glenn Powell so hot right now. Glenn Powell. Um, it just this is such a fun, interesting, and unexpected film about, like, the quote unquote hitman. This did not go as I thought it was gonna go. There's some incredible acting, great chemistry. It's a rom com that's, like, legit sexy, and Glenn Powell is insanely charismatic. Which is so funny because he starts as such a nerd. And then, like, gets to try out these new personalities and playing these different characters and stuff like that. It's a fun time. I don't know how much the ending really worked for me, but all the way up until that, like, I absolutely loved every minute of it. And Glenn Powell's not the only everybody wants some alum in the film as well, but it just has such a really good cast too. It's certainly worth a watch. It's right there on Netflix, so it makes it pretty easy.
Looking forward
Um,
to it.
this will be interesting because my one film off my watch list that I would like to recommend is Crooklyn, which Mike and I are going to be talking about on the Wasteland retrospective next month. It'll be coming soon.
Subtle
Um,
plug.
keep an eye out. But this is so I'll keep it brief. It was an unexpected like coming of age story, period piece from like the I think it was the 70s, 60s, 70s for Spike Lee. It feels like so very different for Spike Lee. Really loved it. Alfre Woodard and Delroy Lindo are both in as the parents. And the young woman who played Troy, the main character, did a great job too. So it's a nice little film. And one film that I rewatched from my collection that will also be on an episode of the Wasteland Retrospective is Jaws, which will be the 4th of July episode coming out with my wife and I.
Perfect.
Jaws is the perfect film. It is perfect. It sets a tone that, like, if you invest in your characters, you invest in the drama and the world building of a story, you can make a great shark movie when your shark doesn't work.
Uh-huh.
You have to hide it throughout the whole entire movie for the better, mind you. And that was a big ass shark,
Yeah,
so
for sure.
terrifying. But no, just like the score from John Williams, the directing from Steven Spielberg, it just all comes together. Roy Scheider, Rich Dreyfuss, and Robert Shaw. It's when the Spanish lady, just the three of them are just so good. And that scumbag mayor, we can close it the
Worst
4th of July.
damn capitalism ruining everything. I didn't
God
die in
damn.
World War II for you to exercise your freedom to keep your beach open on the 4th of July when people are dying at the hands of sharks. Ugh.
And at the hands of sharks specifically. And like that whole USS Indianapolis story, it's like to have dark eyes, doll's eye. It's just yeah, like Robert Shaw is so great in those. So if you haven't watched Jaws, it's about damn time.
I would
So
highly I would echo Shane's sentiment. That's a high recommend.
absolutely. But Mike, thank you as always for coming on and chatting movies with me.
Of course, happy to do it. I feel it was my civic duty as an American citizen, but more importantly, my duty as your friend to talk about this with you. So appreciate you having me on, as always.
Thank you, Mike. Then that's a wrap here on another episode of Welcome to the Wasteland. I'll be having Alice on for the fugitive, not that fugitive, for the next episode, and then my buddy Joe on for Fort Apache. Yes, there's no Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee Jones in this fugitive movie. Um, I don't care. Um, but please make sure comment, like, and share this episode. Make sure to appreciate the subscriptions over on YouTube. But most importantly, thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.